Welcome to your English class, 8th graders. Today we are going to be talking about the past tenses. If you remember, we had already done it once before. Today we'll be doing a short review. I'm Akshay Singh.
And I'm Monica Iotake.
And let's go. But of course, the first step, your homework. I hope everybody has done the homework, and if you have, let's check some of the answers. This was the homework for the vocabulary, health and illnesses. How often do you go to the doctors? I don't go to the doctors too often. I think that is because I always try to keep myself fit.
When and why did you last go to see the doctor? The last time I went to the doctor was about 3 months ago. I had to go to the dentist for a cavity.
How are you feeling at the moment? Well, I'm feeling a bit tired since I've had a very long day.
Me too. What's the health service like in your country? It's quite good in the cities. But in the countryside, we often have to go to the cities for major health problems.
And the next one, the last one. Would you like to be a doctor? Tell us why or why not. The answer, that's a good question. Yes, I would like to be a doctor. I would like to help the people in my town. And now let's move on to
our learning goals. Today's learning goal is to revise, understand and be able to use the different past tenses correctly. Obiectivul de învățare al acestei lecții este acela de a recapitula, de a înțelege și de a utiliza corect diferite timpuri trecute în limba engleză, bineînțeles.
So let's have a look at the past tenses. We have the past simple, the past continuous, the past perfect, and the past perfect continuous. And let's have a look when they are used. Have a look at this graph. If Monica is standing in the present at the moment,
right?
Monica is always in the present. Something happened yesterday. In the past, yesterday, I walked to school. The simple past, action finished. But while I was walking to school, I saw something. I was walking to school when I saw the accident. Past continuous, I was walking. Action going on. Let's have a look at the past perfect. What's the difference? I had finished my work when my friend came, which actually means that one work was finished, was completed in the past when another action happened. And the past perfect continuous, I had been working for 2 hours when my friend came. Again, action in the past which had been completed or which was going on for a long time before something else happened. Now let's move on. We'll take one at a time. The past simple.
Past simple, we use past simple for an action in the past, as we can notice in the example, I ate at lunchtime, or to express a past habit. I played the violin when I was young.
The formation, very simple. Just add an ed for the past simple. I walked to the stars is the present tense. I walked to the stars, the simple past. Just write an ed.
Okay, so let's see, we usually add ed when talking about the past. As in played, we played football yesterday.
Talked. Maria talked with her friends for hours.
Jumped, Radu jumped over the moon.
Opened, the new shop opened a week ago. I hope, Monica, Radu is back.
Me too. When the verb ends with an e, we only add d for the past. And we can see live, lived.
Close becomes closed.
Sneeze, sneezed.
Smile, smiled. And the example, when I lived in Bucharest, I sneezed a lot. So remember the e ending.
Yeah, me when I lived in Strasbourg, I sneezed a lot. It was bad weather all the time. All right, regarding the formation for negative, we have affirmative.
I wish it was, Monica, actually, I wish it was so simple. if we could just say Radu no jumped over the moon, which obviously doesn't fit. What we should be doing is
Radu did not jump over the moon, or Radu didn't jump over the moon. This is the contraction.
We can also continue. We didn't play football yesterday. The students didn't talk in the class. And
Anna didn't walk to the source. When we talk about the interrogative form, we have to add the auxiliary did. Radu jumped over the moon, this is the affirmative form, and the interrogative, did Radu jump over the moon? The second example, I talked to her yesterday. The interrogative will be, did I talk to her yesterday?
So just remember the auxiliary did. We walked to Bucharest last week. Did we walk to Bucharest last week? Remember, there's no ed, just the did. But of course, students, the English language cannot be so simple, so they decided to put some irregular verbs also, verbs that do not follow the regular pattern of adding a d or an ed. One verb like that is say. To change it to the past tense, I cannot just add an ed and make it said. Rather, it takes a new form. This is the irregular verb. S-A-I-D, said. Which, of course, is why it's irregular. What we are going to do is we'll show you a list. I hope you can remember them.
All right, and we have the following verbs with the second form. For past simple, be, was, were, have, had, do, did, say, said, go, went, get, got, make, made, know, knew, think, thought, and take, took.
Your irregular verbs, just a few of them actually. Find, found, see, saw, come becomes came, give, gave, tell, told, write, wrote, bring, brought, run becomes ran, speak, spoke, and eat will become ate in the simple past tense.
All right, we use past continuous when we talk about an action going on in the past. As in the example, I was eating grapes, or
it could also be an interrupted ongoing past action, such as I was eating grapes when she arrived.
And thirdly, we can use past continuous to talk about parallel actions. I was writing while she was dictating. So both verbs are in the past continuous.
Monica, can I ask you a question? What were you doing yesterday at 7 a.m.?
At 7 a.m. I was sleeping.
That's the perfect thing to do. And let's continue. We now move on to the past continuous. Let's see how it is. Formed. We usually use was, not usually, we always use was or were plus the verb in the ing form. Here are some examples.
I was eating my dinner at 8 p.m. or Radu was jumping over the moon when his mother called him.
So in the past, action going on, was or were, plus the ing form of the verb. Here's
or
one
we
more.
were dancing while they were singing.
And this is what we call, I think, Monica, the parallel action.
Yeah, exactly, for our third case. Let's see some other examples.
Remember the form, students. I was running, he, she, or it was. You were running, we were, and similarly, they were running.
When we talk about the negative form of the past continuous, let's see some examples. The affirmative is Sarah was climbing the tree, and the negative form will be Sarah was not climbing the tree, or Sarah wasn't climbing the tree.
The short form. They were singing loudly, they were not singing loudly, or the short form, they weren't singing loudly.
All right, when we talk about the interrogative form, we have the verb was, were, plus the subject and the verb into ing, as in the examples. Were we talking on the phone?
Was Maria sleeping when you reached the house?
Were the students writing the test at 10 a.m.?
Was Christian running?
Let's see when we can use past perfect. For a completed action before another action in the past, and we have the example, I have eaten before she arrived, or
for the duration of a completed action, I had waited for 2 hours before he arrived. Let's have a look at this example. In the past simple, I finished my work yesterday, but something had happened before that. I had finished my work when my friend came. So here it becomes the action that had happened before his friend arrived, which is also why we can see in this example,
I arrived at the theater is the first past action, and the second one,
the film had started. So I can say, when I arrived at the theater, the film had already started. This becomes your past perfect. This is your past simple. Remember, students, the past perfect is also known as the past of the past, an action that took place before another action in the past.
let's see how we form past perfect. We use the subject, we use the auxiliary had and the past participle for the affirmative form. For the interrogative, we have the subject, we have the auxiliary had, the negative adverb not, and past participle as well. And for the interrogative, we'll change the topic, the auxiliary had plus the subject plus past participle.
And now we move on to something more interesting, the past participle. This is the third form of the verb, and students, you will have to remember this, you will have to learn this. We'll take a few only. Be, the second form is was or were, but the past participle or the third form becomes been. Similarly, begin will become began and begun.
Alright, we can have drink, the second form drank, and the past participle drunk. We have find, the second form found, and past participle as well found.
Remember this also, go, second form went, simple past, and gone becomes the past participle. Similarly, learn will become learned, and it remains the same in the third form, learned. We have make, made, and that also remains the same in the third form. Please go through this carefully, students, remember them.
Yeah, you should learn by heart those forms. Alright, let's see now, past perfect continuous. We use it for a past action going on before being interrupted by another action in the past. As in the example, I had been eating when she arrived.
So, an action that was interrupted in the past. Let's have a look at this. Past simple, I was exhausted, but before that I was doing something. I was running for 2 hours. So, I had been running for 2 hours and I was exhausted.
Let's see how do we form past perfect continuous. We need, of course, the subject, the auxiliary had, the auxiliary been, and the ing of the verb. For the affirmative, then we have for the negative, we need the subject, had not or hadn't. We also need been and the ing of the verb. And for the interrogative, we have had plus the subject plus been plus the ing of the verb.
So remember, students, the formation of the past perfect continuous. But also keep in mind what are known as contractions. We shorten the form, I had been can become I had been, you had been can go on to you had been.
Alright, he had been, he'd been, she had been, she'd been, it had been, it'd been.
Similarly, we had been, we had been, they had been, they had been. Let's see how we use these contractions. He had been drinking all day. It had been pouring with rain. Contractions, but
in negative sentence, we may contract the first auxiliary verb and not. We hadn't been living there long and they hadn't been studying very hard.
So contraction in the negative form. We hadn't been living. And of course, your favorite part, we need some practice, so let's do it now. The first sentence, what we have to see now, students, is, I hope you understood exactly the 4 past tenses. Now all you have to do is identify when the action is taking place, whether it is a completed action, whether it was an interrupted action. Let's have a look. First one, I dash a wonderful film in the cinema last night. This is a completed action, so we'll use the simple past tense. The second one.
The sun dashed when the climber reached Mount Everest. And our correct answer is was shining, past continuous.
Action going on when he had reached Mount Everest. Similarly, I was tired yesterday. Be careful of this one, because I dash well the night before. Action completed, past of the past, so hadn't slept. We have used the contraction here. Number 4.
I dash when the alarm clock dash. So the correct answers will be I was dreaming when the alarm clock went off.
Action going on. By the time I got home, they dash all the cake. Again, action completed in the past. When I got home, they had eaten all the cake. A little bit more practice, because I know you love this part.
Let's see the next one. I was furious with Tom when he arrived. I dashed for him for hours, and the correct answer is had been waiting. So past perfect continuous.
Past perfect continuous. Can we do this one? The 8th one. I dash Kim at the party. She dash a new dress. So past tense. I saw Kim at the party and she was wearing a new dress.
Right, let's see the next one. The room was very smoky. I could tell that my brother dash in there all afternoon, and the correct answer is had been smoking.
Had been smoking all afternoon, action going on for a long time. Number 10. The phone dash while I dash a shower. Quite simple, the phone rang while I was having a shower.
And the next one, I dash asleep while I dash television. And the correct answers are, I fell asleep while I was watching television.
So simple, students, keep the rules in mind and you will never go wrong. Now students, it's your turn. I hope you have a good understanding of the past tense. We have given you a short story here with the different past tenses. You can take a photo of this, and the next time we meet, we will check your answers. Before leaving, we would like to acknowledge some sites that helped us with our presentation. Students, stay safe, stay healthy.
Next time we're going to talk about vocabulary, 6th graders, travel and transport, and
for the 8th graders, we'll be doing vocabulary for rules and instructions. So, we'll see you the next time.
Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day. Goodbye.
See you.